All right, so we've got the new M5 iPad Pro here in space black, and we're going to compare every difference it has with the M4 iPad Pro. Unfortunately, that means we're gonna get pretty technical in this video because visually, there ain't much different here, except for, you see iPad Pro and this text right here, that's not on the new one. That's the visual difference we get for this generation. I remember when the visual difference between the M1 and the M2, I think it was that they added Pro to the iPad text back here. And we all thought that was cool. Now they removed it and we think it's cool. So, hey, I guess we just like to see something different on the outside. So yeah, we're not gonna talk about design, we're not gonna talk about build quality. All that is the same between these two. We are just talking about the differences. We're gonna start with benchmarks and real world tests because that's how we can tell the difference. And I'm sorry if that's a little boring, but that's what we got to try here. The first test I really want to do is something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is video editing. So I've been using DaVinci Resolve lately, and both these are running now the exact same project. Ignore the fact that there's more pages on this one. I had it working on this iPad. It's not working at the moment, but the project is the exact same on both these. Technically, these pages aren't supported on the iPad version. I just use a workaround. Maybe they patched it finally. I guess we'll find out. Obviously, you can see more reflections on this screen than this one. That's just because I have nano texture on the M4. That's not something that is exclusive to the M4 or anything. You can get that on the M5, but it just costs a lot more to get there. So this one doesn't have it. So ignore the reflectivity, any screen difference. This is just a spec difference. But yeah, first let's just try like scrubbing through the timeline and just playing it randomly. And let me actually make sure I disable all proxies so it's running off of raw footage only. I just don't see any hiccups or anything like that. This is 4K, but it's not like anything beyond 4K. It's still a relatively simplistic file, so. And it looks overall pretty spot on between these two of them. Let's test out something different. Let's go to the color page. We're going to both the same exact clip here, and we are going to do a masking effect. So add a blur. Let's just try to quickly put that around my face. Maybe increase the strength if I need to blur out a face. We're going to track me back and forth. So apparently this mask tracking function is something that DaVinci Resolve is already supporting on the new neural accelerators of the M5 chip. So we're gonna do on the M4 here first and then see if it looks like it's faster for the M5. Again, this isn't gonna be the most complicated effect, but hopefully we'll get an idea of how much better this chip actually is going to perform for us. So let's track there. Oh, and it kind of got off of my face a little bit at the end and the beginning. So overall, pretty good here. But then as I start to turn around and flip flop a little bit, as you see, it starts to get a little disoriented. And now it's completely off my face. So that does honestly not work that well. I would have to redo that manually. So let's see if we can get a better result or a faster result or both on the M5 then. So you basically can't see my face. And then let's track. So I feel like it tracked it better. Let's now play them side by side next to each other and you guys tell me which one you think did better. So we're gonna full screen these and then play them side by side. Honestly, they both didn't do it fantastic, but I do feel like the M5 was better and it maybe was a little faster there as well. So you guys rewind the footage if you want and see which one you think actually edged it out in speed. Now we're going to do an export test with these both in DaVinci Resolve here. We're going to use a YouTube preset at 4K. This is basically what I do to export my videos. As you can see, they're both estimating the same project size and all the settings are the same. I did actually export my M5 unboxing video on the M5 iPad Pro. So that video was edited all on this iPad. All right, so we have the stopwatch on the watch going, and we have these ready to go. So I'm going to start these in 3, 2, 1, and then start to the stopwatch. All right, so technically a second delayed, but I think we'll get the gist across here. It's interesting because now they're almost tied up, and I'm wondering if, because this one's a little higher RAM, if that's maybe starting to give it an edge. Maybe this is starting to max out on its RAM. I'm not sure if either of these are honestly maxing the RAM yet, but that is a possibility. So unfortunately, this isn't the most fair test in the world because I do have an upgraded M4, but looks like 7 minutes and 58 seconds on the M5. And looks like 8 minutes and 41 seconds on the M4. So almost a 45-second difference there, but when on an 8+ minute export, is that really a big difference? No. And is it a big enough difference to make me want to upgrade to the M5? I don't think so. I also don't really use my iPad as my primary editing device anymore. I still do edit on it, but I use my MacBook for it for the most part, because guess what? iPad apps still are not as good as Mac apps at editing videos, but that's a topic for another video. All right, so the next thing I want to test is the 3D modeling capabilities of both these devices. Now, I've done a lot of modeling on my M4 iPad Pro. I actually used to pay $300 a year for the Shaper 3D Pro subscription. I don't anymore just because I haven't done enough to make that worth it, but I definitely have experience with these models. So I actually did not model this myself. I would not want to take credit for this. This is a model I found online for an engine, I believe for some kind of jet. But yeah, it's a very complicated model and something that I wanted to use to show you guys. For one, it can handle like anything. Both of these iPads, they aren't even really stuttering when I'm going around this model at all. If I make a change on it, it just does it. There's just no fuss or anything. It works. Make this change here. See, there's just no stuttering on either devices. They just do it so well. So both of these devices are going to work great for modeling. I'm going to see if exporting them does anything different here, anything faster. On the new one, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they're about the same, but we'll time it for you guys and show that as well. All right, so we're gonna export them in STL, which is a common 3D printing format in low resolution here, and just see which one goes faster. I can only do low without paying the $300 a year subscription, so we'll see if this gives a good enough test. 3, 2, 1. Looks like it took a second and then maybe 2 seconds for the second one here to go. So they're both very, very fast. I kind of figured they were gonna be crazy in the export times as well, but it does look like it might have been even upwards of 2 times faster. I'll put a number up on the screen when I review the footage to show the exact numbers that both of them exported at. Again, M5 gonna be better, but is anything that you're gonna do on the M4 iPad Pro really gonna be that limited when it comes to 3D modeling? Not anything that I can try. I had to go find this model because I knew nothing that I modeled was going to be big enough or detailed enough to even make these machines sweat. So Shaper 3D also has in their visualization section, they have generative rendering. I'm doing the prompt as warehouse well lit on a palette, and we'll see what this does. So the M5 definitely finished faster, almost 5 seconds faster. So I wouldn't say these are super high resolution photos, but I don't know. It's hard to say which one I think I like better. I think I like the chrome on the M4 a little better, but I don't know if this is generative render problems or a style difference, you know, maybe if I redid it, it would be the same way. The warehouse is better here, but the engine almost looks better here. And I feel like it looks a little more supported by like the wood too. Just a little bit, this is kind of almost floating here and it feels a little weird like that, but yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. So this is the M5's render, and I think it actually looks more like the model, like it didn't take any liberties. It did smooth out the bottom here and didn't add all the detail that's like the slots in the bottom as well, which is a little unfortunate. But besides that, I feel like pretty much everything else visually looks the same. Where the M4, let's zoom in on that, it kept a couple of the slats at the bottom, but it also did not keep, they're way further apart here than they actually are in the model, and then it added panels there that weren't here, and because this is all slats as well. And the gears just don't look as accurate to the model that I have here. Even some of the piping looks a little different than the model does. So neither was perfect. So I think it's a risk when you do a generative render with this app, is that it's using AI, so it's gonna make a couple mistakes in recreating your model in whatever environment. It's a neat feature though, and it wasn't part of the paid version, which I was actually really surprised about. But again, is it so much better that it makes this device incredibly more worth it? I don't know. Either way, both these devices will handle 3D modeling great. The M5 is a little better. So this is a dragon model that, again, I did not sculpt in ZBrush. It's a really interesting model that has 125,000 active points. So a relatively large model here as well. And as you can see, if I zoom in, you can see all the different individual polygons on this thing, and I can mess with them a little bit, change the shape of it, all that cool stuff. Same on this side here. All right, so I'm gonna try exporting this turnable video here where it's gonna spin it around and whatnot at maxed out everything that I possibly can, moving in all dimensions, and apparently I have to have this title image and overlay image, so I'm trying to reduce them as much as possible, but yeah, we'll see which one is faster at this. I'm sorry if this is a terrible ZBrush test. I don't really use this app very often. I'm just hopefully giving another real world example of where the M5 could be better, but let's find out. So that was like a couple seconds ahead on the M5. I would say there's definitely a good amount of heat on the M4 here. Let's see about the M5. I'd say about the same, maybe a little less warmth on the M5 than the M4. Another case for the M5 finished it faster, barely. It's an improvement, not a substantial game changer for any of my workflows. Again, I don't use ZBrush a lot. Maybe there's a better thing I could have tested in that app. So if you guys want a different kind of test for ZBrush, let me know in the comments down below. I can even make a short on it and redo that test if there's something better to do. But as of right now, I'm just not seeing anything substantial between any of the 3D modeling apps. Sure, it does look like it does it a little bit faster, and that makes it a little more future-proof, but it's not anything substantially different. Another big thing that this M5 chip touts over the M4 is better AI performance, because not only does it have a newer neural engine, but it also has neural accelerators in all the graphics cores. So it should be killing it when it comes to running AI locally. Well, we're downloading a model, the Flux model, to test on both these devices locally. But while that's happening, let me talk to you about another AI device. You might have seen me wearing this entire video, and that is the PLAUD AI pin. It is just an AI voice recorder, so it will listen to all your conversations and everything like that. So it's actually been recording this entire video so far, and I'm gonna stop it now. Then I can go back to the PLAUD app, and then it starts syncing over, and I can do a fast transfer as well. and do a Wi-Fi transfer with the PLAUD Note pin. And honestly, the longest process is just getting it connected to the hotspot, I feel like, because then once it goes, it just transfers so fast. So here is the main recording that I was referring to. It's 45 minutes long and it took a few seconds to transfer over. So really that's not bad at all. But at any point here, I can number up on the screen when I review the footage to show the exact numbers at both. So now that it's done all the AI transcript and summaries, so here's for one, the full transcript of 45 minutes, and it took maybe 5 minutes to generate this. And I gave you an outline of some key points that it detected as well. And then all the notes and the summaries that it gives you here is great tools to have as well. If you do a lot of meetings or interviews, or you just want to have records of your videos in transcription form, or however you want to use this device, it is one of the best at doing it. Because it's so wearable, I feel like I can take this and use this in a lot more locations. I am a big fan of the AI Note Pen, so thank you to PLAUD for sponsoring this video. All right, so now we're going to test on-device AI image generation with the Draw Things app. And we have the same model downloaded on both of them, the same prompt, every setting is exactly the same here. So we should get a pretty good comparison. Let's give this a go. And the M5 crashed, which is interesting. I'm not sure why the M5 is crashing here. Okay, I think I actually did get it to work. So we're gonna try this one more time. All right, well that finished in about 6 minutes and 13 seconds on the M5. The M4 finally finished at about 12 minutes, so almost double the amount of time as the M5. That's quite a difference. Now, I would almost say I like the image from the M4 better, but that just could be the random draw of whatever the AI decided to do. I don't think it's better quality or anything like that. It's just, I think the image looks cooler. But the M5 finished in half the time. By the time this one finished, I could have had another version of this already ready to go. So that's pretty significantly different. If this is a big part of your workflow, there could be an argument that can be made that you should upgrade to the M5. If it's a huge part of your workflow. For me, this is the first time I've ever used a local AI app like that. I don't care enough to upgrade for myself better than even the M4. That is something definitely to keep in mind. All right, so now I want to do some benchmarks here. I don't want to take too much time on it. Most of these have already been ran off screen, so I'm not going to run them again right now, but I'll show you all the results. The M4 is definitely hotter, at least right now, and seems to have drained more battery. But since we're not doing an actual test, I'm just looking at results right now. I'm actually gonna plug in the M4, but I don't know if that is a result of a better and more efficient chip, or that could have been the fact that one, it had lower battery to start with, and two, we did end up running that image generation test another time on the M4 because the M5 kept crashing initially. So it's hard to say if it was actually a lot better battery performance on the M5. I would say it's probably at least a little bit better, and it's just a newer battery too, so that definitely has something to do with it. So first, let's go to Geekbench 6 and look at the scores here. So a pretty significant jump ahead in single core. I feel like multi-core doesn't look that different to me, but this is the 10-core processor on the M4 versus only the 9-core on the M5. So now you're getting better than the 10-core on the baseline M5. This is a good thing. Same with the 12 gigabytes of RAM. That's fantastic. But if you have a higher end M4, it's just not going to be as dramatic of a difference. Then if we look at the GPU benchmark here, this is a dramatic difference as well, almost closer to like 30 to 40% improve versus around 10% with the CPU. They both have the same 10-core GPU, and this actually has less RAM and it's still doing a lot better here. But this isn't a very RAM heavy test, but nonetheless, the graphics have definitely gotten better. Then going to 3D Mark, we're going to look at just the Steel Nomad Lite Unlimited test. Now this overall score is actually barely any different. I think this could be that the M4 that I have has more RAM than it, so that's definitely a factor, and again, the 10-core CPU, but this is more of a graphics and RAM test. What I also find interesting is that it shows 40 to 40%, but 100 to 95% on the M5, almost implying more battery drain. I remember doing this test and the M5 was not at 95% at the end of this test. It was still at 100. But there's also a bigger range. This one goes from 17 to 45, where the M4 goes from 20 to 36. So higher possibilities over here, but not as consistent, at least so far. Now, the best test for consistency and stability is the stress test. So this actually gives a stability score, and just as I figured, the M5 is actually lower than the M4. This is almost a 70% stability, and you can kind of see that as it's not as dramatic of a drop off as it goes versus the M5. Now, the best loop is significantly higher than the best loop on the M4. This is where that 40% increase is. And the lowest loop is almost as good as the best loop on the M4. That's really impressive, but it's not quite as stable, and this has a better stability rate, so it's going to be closer to that best loop score more often. That's definitely a better GPU performance on the M5, and they both lost about 20%. I really do like the M5 chip. I have no complaints about it in that regard. I think it's a good upgrade of chip year over year. Is this a good upgrade of iPad year over year? That's a lot more debatable. It really depends on what you're trying to do on your iPad. I think for 90 to 95% of people, no, it's not a good enough upgrade year over year. So now we're gonna try Geekbench AI and show how each of the different engines in the chip handle AI tasks. So we'll start with the CPU and see if there's much of a difference there. So for CPU, there is a difference, but I would say for AI tasks that are CPU heavy, it's not a dramatic difference. The quantized score is pretty similar here from both. The GPU is really where we should be seeing the biggest improvement, so let's do that one next. That's because the GPU is where they added the neural accelerator cores, which is one of the main improvements of the M5 chip. And yeah, there is some pretty huge jumps here. I mean, look at the half precision score is over double or right around double the scores here, and the quantized score is also about double or so of this score. So the single precision, not as much, but yeah, this is going to perform so much better for AI tasks, as we saw in the previous test, sometimes twice as fast. All right, now we're going to test the Wi-Fi speeds, as this has the new N1 chip, the Apple design Wi-Fi chip, and supposedly this should give it some better signal, even when you don't have a Wi-Fi 7 router, which I don't believe we have here. So let's give that a try. First test, I see that the upload is almost double on the M4 than the M5, and the M5 is faster download, but barely. So we're gonna try this one more time just to make sure this isn't a fluke or anything. Well, now the M5 isn't even doing the upload half of the test and it's erroring out. So again, it could be a fact of the new Wi-Fi chip just isn't being tested for properly in some of these apps, or maybe there's even an error in the software version for some of the Wi-Fi right now. I'm honestly not sure. Something I should probably revisit later, but it does seem like the download speed is consistently at least doing better, but the upload speed is consistently not doing better. So I don't know if I would call that a win here. I would say the M4 is probably the speeds I would take, because it's barely different for download and sometimes almost double the upload, and that sounds better to me. The average person hardly ever uses upload, so maybe that's not the normal consensus of things. But for me, I upload videos, so having good upload speed is great. So lastly, we're going to test the read and write speed of these devices here. Now, they both don't have a lot of storage left on there, so hopefully that doesn't affect the test too much, but they're kind of even. So we'll give it a shot anyway. Yeah, I would, if these are at all accurate, like holy cow, the M5 is just like 5 times or or more the speed of the M4 at 15,983 versus 3,397. And then the read speed is not too terribly different, but yeah, if that's accurate and this test is doing its job well, then that's insane. Now, I don't think I'm gonna be complaining that my M4 storage is slow, but if you, again, are using Final Cut Pro or DaVinci Resolve and you're working off of local storage, you're gonna want as fast a speeds as possible to just make everything snappier, especially the bigger your files are. Now, this is a 256 gigabyte iPad Pro, so you can only have so big of files before you run out of storage, but you can spec it all the way up to 2 terabytes. And that's where I feel like that fast storage speed is really gonna make a difference. If you're using this for huge projects, having double or more of the read and write speed, that's gonna be great. And the last big test that I did was a charge test between both of these. So I let both of them die completely, go all the way to 0%. And then I plugged it in to actually my MacBook charger, which was a 96 watt charger, way more than either of these can actually handle, but I wanted to make sure I got maximum speeds on both. And I charged it for 30 minutes to see if I could get the 0 to 50% that Apple promises on their website for the M5. And yes, I absolutely did. I actually got 51%, so a little bit more than what Apple even said. So that was fantastic. I was really happy to see that that was not false advertising anyway. If you use a 60 watt or above charger, you should be able to get that speed fully. However, you can get really close with the M4, and I want to emphasize that heavily because I hear that feature talked about so much on the M5. It's like, oh, this has fast charging now. It's so much better because it's got fast charging. This got to 43% on the same charger in the same amount of time. Is this one faster? Yes. Does 8% make a huge difference? Not to me. I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't feel like a big difference. Obviously, this is a newer battery, so it could even charge a little bit faster right now and might wear down over time too. There's all sorts of factors that contribute to charging speed. And I just don't think this one's that much slower to warrant that as being the upgradable feature. That's my conclusion between both these devices. There is no one big, now you have to upgrade to the M5 feature on any of these tests that I found. Is the chip faster? Absolutely. Does it do AI almost twice as fast? Yeah. But does that mean you should upgrade from your M4? No. It's for any normal person, again, unless you're explicitly using local AI models for your business or you're making money off that, well then yeah, for a business investment, sell the M4, upgrade to the M5. It's gonna make your life easier. But as far as should anyone who just uses their iPad for iPad things, maybe does a couple professional apps on there, try to upgrade from the M4, please do not do that. Especially if you have a more spec'd out M4, because you are not going to get good resale value on all those upgrades you made. I know, I've looked, and I can maybe sell this iPad for the same price as the baseline M5. And that's sad because it used to cost almost twice as much. And I'm just not getting my investment back by selling it. So I gotta use this thing more and actually get my investment that way. The reality is, for everything that I do on my iPad, I don't think I'll notice the difference really at all. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and if there's any test that surprised you out of these, or anything that made you think that you might want to upgrade to the M5. Or what I really want to show you guys is if you should get a refurbished or used M4 or a brand new M5. That I think is even more of an important discussion than should you upgrade from the M4, because hopefully not a lot of you are thinking of doing that, but you might be looking at, on a used site, a $1,000 spec'd up M4 iPad and think, is that better than the baseline M5 iPad Pro? I would say in a lot of scenarios, yes, because you can actually get something like the nano texture screen if that's something you're interested in for way cheaper on the M4 right now. You can get so much more storage and you can get that higher RAM. That just might be worth getting a generation older chip unless local AI tasks are something you need to do. That's the only reason I think going for brand new M5 makes sense. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope it helped you make a decision for yourself. And again, if there's any other test you want me to look into, I have this iPad for a little bit longer yet before I'll either sell it or return it or whatever I end up doing with it. But I'm just letting you guys know right now, I am not personally upgrading from my N4 iPad Pro. I am sticking with it and I will be getting rid of the M5 iPad Pro. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and comment down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel. It truly does help us grow and be able to reach more people. And if you like any of the equipment or any of the products that were shown in this video, they're all gonna be linked in my description down below. And of course, guys, have a great rest of your day.